Want to stop juggling spreadsheets, calendars, and a dozen apps just to run your rentals? Lodgify makes it easy. It's an all-in-one toolkit for hosts. Build a direct booking website, automate guest messaging, and keep all your channels in sync. Running your rental business your way has never been simpler. And for Good Morning Hospitality listeners, you can get 20% off any yearly plan with code GMH20. Just check the link in the show notes to get started today.
Welcome to Good Morning Hospitality, your one-stop shop for the latest news, noteworthy trends, and thought-provoking discussions across the industry. From hotels and short-term rentals to all things travel and hospitality, you'll find each episode equips you with the information that you need to start your week. Join us on Good Morning Hospitality every Monday, wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Monday.
That's right. We all know it's the best day of the week.
We're so
Coming
back.
in, Will obviously got a lot more sun than we did in Alabama. There was a lot of rain this weekend, but Will enjoyed the sun, looks like.
Yeah, we had 1 hour or a couple hours yesterday where it was like 46 degrees. The sun was out. The wind was blowing through my hair. I got to read my book outside on the patio. It was lovely, lovely day. So felt good to have a nice reset day before jumping into the week.
I feel like I had the exact opposite day. It was thunderstorming and rainy literally from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to bed yesterday.
Yep, same. And for all of those listeners out there with little kids, being cooped up in a house is you can pull your hair out with all the energy that needs to get out with two little boys. So thank God it's Monday. We love Mondays. Best day of the week for many reasons.
I feel you. That was my Saturday. Saturday was very chill, gloomy, kind of cozy up on the couch type of Saturday weekend. But yeah, it was good to listen to the episode last week. You guys crushed it. How'd it feel being solo, the two of you? I think that was the first Brandy Maiko duo we've had.
It was. I can't believe it's been this long, and that was the first time that's happened. Of course, we missed you, Will, but it was we had a good episode last week. It's always fun when you just get to banter back and forth a bit.
Yeah, we weren't so smooth on the transitions, but we don't have our segue king over here. But otherwise, yeah, it's usually either Brandy or I that's out with travels and Jamie filling in. So we enjoyed it, but good to have you back.
Yeah, it's good to be back. And as I was texting you guys this morning, one of the things I kind of wanted to do just to reset some stuff for the listeners and new followers. I noticed we had a ton of new followers on the LinkedIn page, some new faces I'm seeing in the DMs. I'm figuring you guys are probably seeing the same thing. So what I wanted to do is actually take time and just quick. We don't want to ruin listeners' mornings by drowning out a bunch of nuanced information, but basically would love to reintroduce the show and you guys, because I think you guys are what makes the show so special. You and all the other hosts, all 12 of us or whatever the count is now. But just for the listener's sake, Good Morning Hospitality is a news and opinion-based show. So we get articles every week based on our certain segments of hospitality. We pull them together. We then share our opinions and pick and pull apart what article we want to do. And then finally, we come here and we sit down and we record a live show. So these shows are live. If you're listening, then you can always go like and subscribe on our YouTube or LinkedIn page to follow along and comment in on the live. If not, support your show by liking, subscribing, sharing, and reviewing on Apple, Spotify, and all your favorite podcast platforms. And now, without further ado, Michael Golden, can you tell us a little bit about yourself before we...
Absolutely. Yeah. So Will and I have been doing the show for 5 years. I've been in the short-term rental industry for 10. Currently working on a couple of developments with an outdoor resort company called Nook.
Lovely. So simple. So well said. Elegant. Brandy, how about you? What do you do in the industry?
So I'm Brandy Canali. I'm the COO of Romy, formerly Sextant Stays. We've been in the industry. I've been in the industry for 9 years, almost a whole decade. So I kind of run operations over here, and we're an urban operator located in South Florida and New Orleans, which is where I am currently for a month and a half.
Yes, you'll see Brandy on the move quite often on this show.
Yeah, my background is the one that changes the most often.
Yes. Yes. And then
do you prefer New Orleans or Miami more?
I do prefer Miami because it's just like it's my home. But I mean, the food in New Orleans, and quick shout out to Akamaya. If you're in New Orleans, you got it. It was a life-changing meal that my boyfriend and I had on Friday. But yeah, the food here is fantastic. Life-changing, and it's fantastic. But Miami has been home. So
love that. Well, and then we have our honorary guest of the month named Jamie Lane. He is the chief economist chief economy. Chief economy
economist.
Economy? Is that the
economist? Yeah, there you go.
Officer or just
this is a live show, like we said.
No, I know.
Words are hard.
Yeah. Anyways, so Jamie Lane joins us once a month. He's the chief economist over at AirDNA. And then we also have our Tuesday crew with Leo and Sarah that cover all European short-term rental news. Our Wednesday crew with Sarah Dandishy and Steve Turk for hotel news. And then Matt Whittemore and Alex Burkett on our Good Morning Outdoors show every Thursday. So just giving a reintroduction to the listeners, subscribers, viewers, all that good stuff. But for now, we have a lot to cover. This episode is 3 juicy topics. So without further ado, let's dive into the first one, which is fraudulent listings on booking.com taking over the game. So
one more comment before we jump into that.
Yeah.
A lot of how we got Brandy added and Jamie added and then all the additional shows added was from comments from our listeners. So if you like the content, if you want to share articles or news stories or topics with us, please do. You can do that live. You can do it not live, and we can cover it on Monday mornings. We've gotten, over the past few weeks, more and more information shared with us, particularly regards to some of the Vacasa drama, some of the industry stories that are going on with fraud, like the one we're going to cover today. So we like to keep it as interactive as possible.
Yes. So make your voice be heard. Let us hear what you want to hear on the show. Awesome. Okay. So some fraudulent behavior happening on the booking.com website. Brandy, you have a lot of familiarity. Wow. The words are hard on Mondays. A lot of familiarness, I guess I'll just say it instead of butchering it with this article and this type of topic. So let's jump into booking.com being subject to bogus short-term rental listings.
Yeah. So I think that this is, part of like a larger trend with OTAs of being, obviously kind of a ripe target for fraud. Right now, booking.com is just like in this article, but I think if you're an operator, you've had experience with fraud probably. Also on Airbnb, other listings. Yes, it's like the Craigslist days where like randomly your property would appear on Craigslist or something like that. So yeah, an investigation found that there were a bunch of fraudulent listings, and you see that guests are booking, then there ends up not being a property, and they're writing a lot of, they're obviously leaving bad reviews, writing about it in the comments, but the listings were still, up and bookable. And I think that there's a couple of reasons for this. The article states that, booking.com does their automatic listing content generation, which I don't think is 100% part of the reason why these listings are able to be so prolific. It probably has to do, with the ease of creating them, with the ease of shutting one down. Hey, you make a bogus hotel or short-term rental and you get a couple of bookings, you take that money, it gets shut down. Like you're still, the scammers are, as Michael said before this episode, always 2 steps ahead. So it doesn't really, you kind of have to prevent them from signing up in the first place, because shutting them down, they've already gotten what they came for. And this is similar, I think, to some of the issues we saw with Airbnb a couple years ago, where, I mean, personally at Romy, we had this happen, and I know it happened to a lot of other operators. People would create fake, duplicate your Airbnb listings, and then people would book those and then obviously show up and not have a reservation, and they would just get scammed. So it's the same play. It's just on booking.com. And one of the interesting comments in this article says that, booking.com sorts, and along with other OTAs, it's not just them, but sorts the comments by most relevant or recommended. But they were saying if you had sorted it from like recent to oldest, you would see like a whole slew of people that are saying that they got ripped off or, something like that. So this is just, booking.com probably needs to implement some stricter onboarding procedures. Now, and on Airbnb, you have to have like your face and an ID that matches your face to even log on. All of these OTAs have KYC requirements, know your customer, but usually that's not right when you sign up. So it's really about catching these things before they have time to even collect that first booking.
Yeah, the group that put this kind of query together said they created a listing on Booking in less than 15 minutes. They didn't have to provide any information about who they were. And there was no request like on Airbnb or Vrbo to see a driver's license or a passport. And I mean, this is that's how it used to be, quite frankly. You could just create a listing, create a profile. I remember probably 8 or 9 years ago, I was chatting with the CEO of Wyndham's vacation rental division, and we were talking about fraud on the OTAs. And like, it's just so hard to, we can kick a guest off. But then I was like, well, yeah, but the guest can just go create a new email address and book it again. And she's like, is that possible? And at the time, that was all you had to do. Now they ask for a picture, but I mean, even during COVID, Brandy, you had people buying Airbnb accounts to book parties and throw these pop-up strip clubs. King Geo.
That was that was the real, oh my God, like the peak. That was like peak COVID in Miami. We would see people would send us videos of parties happening and be like, isn't this one of your properties? And we'd look, and it would be someone that had a real Airbnb account, real ID, like a long stay, like no red flags. And it's just, because people are going and buying these accounts. And it's like, you just never underestimate how bad, like how easy it is for people to continue to scam, and like shutting them down once does not mean that is the other, like, I've learned my lesson, now I'm going to go do something else. They're just going to continue to improve upon how they scam.
Yeah. I mean, I think we talk a lot about brands on this show, and one of the biggest differentiators is owned and or controlled inventory versus third party, no control. And I feel like there's already starting to be a little bit of a shift towards controlled / owned inventory, and away from just every.
Can you describe like the definition of controlled / owned? Is that like owner operated?
Yeah, so like Marriott, right? So Marriott hotels, on the hotel side, they either have a branding contract, they own the property, or they manage it. On the homes and villas side, they've verified it. They've sent people out or had checklists, and Brandon can get into it more. I mean, I think it's probably a 500-page exhaustive list, but they verify that these properties are real. They're owned or managed by who is presenting them to them. Airbnb, Vrbo, Booking, they can't go through that. That's just too much diligence and too much friction. Airbnb is all about the 1, 2, 3 click, get it done. And that's why they're adding in AI. Maybe AI at the end of the day can help be the answer of it. You upload your contract with the owner, and then the owner's details are verified by the tax records or whatever. But I think, the trust that happens in these marketplaces, trust eroded on Craigslist over time, especially after stories like the Craigslist killers, right? You get some moniker in the brain, and then now you don't want to meet the stranger in the Walmart parking lot to exchange an Xbox. So I think trust has to be core and central. And it sounds like Booking's taking this really seriously and, starting to put in multi-factor identification and things like that. But trust is all you have when you're a marketplace.
Yeah, but my question to you is like, how, like, because I was thinking about this, right? There's AutoHost out there. There's a couple other fraud companies out there that popped up because of this problem, not just on the host operator side, but mostly because of the guest side. So the King Geos of the world that exist is the reason why AutoHost and other programs and technologies are out there. But I'm curious, and just in the terms of the OTAs, I feel like they need to be the ones that kind of like step up in this area and check fraud on all counts. And I don't know how they do it without being like without creating friction, right? Like, because like you said, Michael, the Airbnb 1, 2, 3 and you're on is kind of their shtick, right? Like that's what everyone knows them for, especially during COVID. Like everyone was able to grab a listing, whether it was co-host or managed or owned, and boom, you're up and running. I know it's changed, but where does friction and trust start to meet, or how does, where's that fine line in between creating that trust, but not having as much friction on either end of the operator or the guest?
Yeah, I think it's actually pretty easy. And I just had this experience with Airbnb. We had like added some new accounts. We have like each of our buildings has their own account and they're all connected to a main account that's like their co-host, right? So that we can have everything in one place. And that main account, which we've had, it was the original account from the origin of the earliest Sextant Stays days that has been verified so many times. And then I had to go back through and re-verify my photo. And then the photo that I didn't take wasn't good enough, or apparently I don't look like I do in my driver's license photo when I was 23. And I had to take it again. And even though I was annoyed like that I had to keep verifying this thing I'd already verified, it was being like, hey, this isn't close enough to what we need it to be. And that's just literally like, I have a saved picture of my driver's license on my computer. You upload that, the computer takes a selfie for you, or you do it on your phone. Like, I think that proves at the very least that there's a real person. You're never, if someone buys an ID or they do a whatever, there's maybe ways around it. But I think that just having one form of like instant verification where you have to like, you can't upload a picture of your selfie. You have to like take it right there. That's one way that Booking could do that, like having one person who's a registered agent of the business like have to have their name on it.
Yeah, I think the other that's existed for decades and decades is Forbes has the star rating and AAA has a diamond rating. We all know that a 2-star hotel is X and a 5-star hotel is Y. We don't have anybody in short-term rentals telling us, is this property or manager good? Do we trust them? Is this, to Jamie's credit and data, a lot of times the single hosts are in fact the best, but that's really tough to go one-to-one. Are the managers providing a good experience? Is the property safe? Is it legal? Is it vetted? These are things that Forbes or AAA can verify, and those carry its own trust, and no matter the platform. That 3-star Best Western or 2-star Best Western, what you're getting, one, which has been a problem for the OTAs. If you're staying in a Best Western, you know what to expect. If you're staying in an Airbnb, sometimes you have no clue what to expect. And
yeah,
it's hard. It's a big lift, but that is, one of the things that I think is missing from the space.
What I actually had, so while I'm here in New Orleans, I'll like work the front desk around check-in on some of our busy days just to have those like interactions with guests. And I think now that all the OTA, and this actually kind of harkens back to our episode about the STR data that Focusrite did, where there was this they distinguished between like an OTA and then an STR marketplace. And I think that also is part of it, like in this trust component, because on Airbnb, people are booking on Airbnb, know that they're booking an Airbnb, and they like trust the system, and they might know like, hey, this might be someone's home, this might be professionally managed if they know how to like look into the details. But then on we have people book through Booking and Expedia, and even though in the listings it says the same things that it says in the Airbnb listings, like this is a service, basically a service department, blah blah blah, they're like, this is like a really interesting model, it's my first time staying at a self-service department, and they have a little bit of like an uneasiness, like they're, you know, people I talked to were enjoying their experience, but they were a little thrown off about the experience. And so there is, each of the different OTAs has its own, I think, trust level as well, you know, and unfortunately, I mean, I think it also depends. This is just me speaking anecdotally, that booking.com has a really high trust internationally. Like people in Europe love to book booking.com. And so they might have that same kind of trust that Americans have for Airbnb. But the product, when you get there, I think is still, the jury's still out. And that's where booking.com could maybe can do something to increase the trust there.
Yeah, one of my things I've been talking about on LinkedIn a lot these days is that during COVID, the industry, and not just short-term rentals, even obviously hotels, restaurants, etc., all kind of went into a responsive, let's cut everything, very minimal human touch type points, to the point now, I think, where a lot of consumers are in any type of industry they're kind of focusing more on like, am I getting a human interaction? Am I getting the questions that I want answered? Am I getting the touch points of, you know, them reaching out to me at this certain time and communicating this blah, blah, blah with me, right? Like I think we're craving more from not just customer experience, but just from companies that provide a service or a product in general. And so I think, Brandy, why you saw that, you know, happen at the front desk is like, oh, like they're like new to it, but also I think they're kind of like, all right, I feel like a lot of consumers are wanting, if it's how do I say this? Yes, Michael, this is a very live show for me today, but basically like in term of they want more, and at a service department level, I would think like them being like, okay, this is cool. That opens up such a huge opportunity for that trust ability to play in, right? Where it's like, yeah, we are self-service, but at the end of the day, I'm here to help you. I'm here to answer questions, right? Like you just got to get that into their thinking. I think that's where the trust piece can really shift, as the more hands-on we get, the more human touch points we create throughout businesses, or specifically in our industry, the more likely we're going to, I think, erode that trust issue. Plus it just gives better spotlight into the businesses that actually care about humans and hospitality and all these things. So I agree with what you guys are saying. I just think the human piece now is going to be more crucial than ever.
Yeah. And it's never been worse. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I don't answer my phone unless it's a number I know, period. I don't respond to emails if I don't know them or anything. Like my BS factor, even if it's something that's true and real, I'm automatically assuming it's fake and fraudulent. And
what are you selling me?
Yeah, why are you calling me? How'd you get my number? Like, who are you? But at the end of the day, like all that we have in hospitality is trust. We're literally welcoming people into our accommodations. We want them to feel safe. We want them to know it exists. We want them to trust that they're talking to a human and not someone who's trying to scam them. And as systems get more and more sophisticated, you mentioned this already, Brandy, but fraudsters are always 2 steps ahead of us. So the only thing we can really do is, to Paul's point, come up with a set of ultimate vacation rental standards and then hold the industry to that standard. So I'm with you. I think that's going to be an important phase for the industry. Now that I know Airbnb is pushing supply still, but I feel like we've largely plateaued on the supply side. So now we just have to differentiate that supply and that trust level between good operators, bad operators, good properties, bad properties, and let the cream rise to the top. Because once the plateaus have been hit, that's where the separation really starts to happen.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering what, accreditation industry is going to emerge as the one that everybody trusts, because AAA and Michelin for food, and now some hotels, and Forbes, like those, I mean, they started off as, a tire company or whatever, it's like they started off small, but now I feel like any agency that comes out in our industry will be met with a lot of skepticism. Like, what gives you the, knowledge or integrity or trust to be that agency that does all of that? So it'll be interesting to see kind of how this evolves, because you have to start somewhere, but you have to trust the agency that's doing that accreditation in the first place.
Trust the people behind it, and that they've got key stakeholders at the table. 100%.
Exactly. Yeah. And then just one thing I wanted to touch on quickly, because it's the guest side of things, that all of the guest verification, like having them fill in a check-in form or doing all of this, has also become very cumbersome. And we found in our operations that's also becoming difficult. So we're taking a look at all of that. It's all just interesting, trying to make sure that people have a good stay and to prevent fraud. And how do you actually do that seamlessly from both sides?
Yeah, 100%. Well, some fun. Yeah, that was a good chunk of the episode, to be honest. Fun stuff. And I think, it's one of those things that's going to be an ongoing conversation. I don't think we're going to be for the listeners' sake, I don't think we're going to be coming up with true solutions on the show, but I do love this conversation.
Why not? Let's solve everybody's problems right now.
All right, let's create the agency right now. We'll start creating the standards. Everyone listening, especially you, Paul, let's get you on board. Let's get, but yeah, no, some good stuff here. Now, for the last topic before we fully wrap up, do you guys want to hit some Casago Vacasa drama, or do we hit the other topic?
That's been the continuing story. This has been, I think it's like one of the most exciting things that's happened in our industry, just because there's drama, there's
public. It's not just
it's public. There's high stakes. So what are your initial thoughts on this, on the next the most recent bit of information that we've received?
It was basically that DK came out very upset that their higher offer wasn't accepted, threatening lawsuits and creating some quite frankly fairly valid arguments as to why their offer should have been selected. But I think on the flip side, you've got a company who's come in, and now I think they said they've made 6 different offers. I don't know. Maybe I'm too Southern of a person, but I tend to lead with either my best offer or almost close to my best offer. I sure as hell am not going to be negotiating back and forth 6, 7, 8, 10, 20 times. It's just not my style. If it's someone else's style, I get it. But that just goes back to the entire episode. That just signals trust might be not there between the board. Who knows? I mean, look, board dramas can get crazy, especially when there's this much money on the line. And disclaimer, these are our views only. This is just us relaying our opinions and thoughts on the information that we have in front of us. This is not financial advice. This is not legal advice.
I think we're gonna need one of these disclaimers on almost every episode now.
It makes
probably put that on.
Yeah,
because you look at, I mean, there was one point where the thinking was, okay, if we don't accept the Casago bid and DK just kind of strings us along for a little bit and the company has to go, runs out of cash basically, then DK can swoop it up for a fraction of the price. And then they come back with a counter to that to kind of say like, to show that they have good intentions and they're not going to do it. Have faith. And so there's all these, like, aside from like the complex like financial mechanisms that go into these kind of deals, you just kind of look at it, and this is obviously not like from a fiduciary responsibility take, but going with Casago seems like just a better opportunity of a business model of trying. Like the franchising model just seems like we need to try something else. And that seems like something else. So regardless, obviously there are certain legal responsibilities that the board and the special committee have, but it would be good to just see this big company that is whether you've been a Vacasa fan or not, they are like a poster child for the industry. So it would be great to give them let's try something new to give them a chance at having some success.
Well, Brandy, I think it is fiduciary based on what you just said. I think, this was the better offer. Costigo's 530 versus DK's 583 is the fiduciary responsibility of this committee to accept, because it is, again, a better offer in the long term. It's certainty. In that article that was mentioned in Skift, Costigo provides Vacasa certainty. DK provides uncertainty, especially with all the board drama, the amount of equity they already hold in the company, the ability or the possibility that the sale could be dragged out. They could run out of cash. They could restructure the debt vehicle. The debt vehicle to take control. There's all these uncertain kind of standpoints. From my perspective, after reading the article, I think they did their job and they did the shareholders better, because being able to get the Costigo offer across the line versus kicking the can down the road with DK or whatever potentially might happen guarantees a payout to the stakeholders versus one that is a very high 50-50 chance of potentially not. So I don't know.
A 95% drop from the initial offering, something like that, but it's still something. And I get why DK is mad. I mean, they were, I think, one of the last investors, if memory serves me. And if you have an opportunity to come in and take control, and maybe your voice wasn't heard, and it's been frustrating on the board, and you think the company should go this way, and now it's going this way. Look, I get it. I mean, and there's a lot of money on the line in these deals, but I think. I don't know enough about the interworkings of the board and taking companies public and private personally. But it's, it doesn't seem like it's resolving now or anytime soon. So,
but it continues to give us little tidbits to talk about on Mondays. So.
Yes. Yes. We love good old drama for Mondays. Good episode. Good to be back. Good to see you guys. Thank you to Paul for tuning in live. As always, you are the best. We owe you a bag of and good morning coffee. So, Paul, this is coming your way. Let's get your address. But what do you guys got going on this week? Anything fun, exciting? Brandy, when are you back in Miami?
I'm not for a while, but I am going. My family is doing a big family trip, the whole squad, to Vero Beach. I can't believe I'm going back to Florida for vacation. But we're getting my grandma B, who's been a guest on the show a couple times, down to the beach to get her some sun. So it's gonna be I think 13 of us all going to Vero Beach this weekend.
Dang. Big Canali party. What up?
Mm-hmm.
Driving, flying.
Oh, all of us are flying. Yeah.
Tell Grandma B we say what's up. We miss her.
I will. She might be on the next episode, because next Monday I'll be on my way out. So I'll see if I can get her on the show. She loves it. So
and we love her for it. So keep her coming. Keep her coming and on the show. We love her. Golden, what's up with you this week? Anything exciting?
Well, same old.
Oh my gosh! All right.
Will leave.
Yeah, working on rezoning of one of our properties. So that's the exciting, riveting, edge of the seat type of stuff. But it's make or break. So important steps.
So much fun.
Yeah.
Well,
whoever tells you development's easy is fine.
Yeah.
Do people say that development is easy?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think I've heard that before. But
you think development's easy. If you assume it's not that hard, then you're telling yourself a lie.
Yeah. True. Well, I got nothing too crazy this week. Just meetings, catch up. For being a little sick last week, and then Yeah, working on some fun projects. So we'll definitely have something to announce, especially for any Denver listeners. If you are in Denver, be ready for something cool. But outside of that, like always, you know what to do. Slick talk, or no, my gosh, not slick talkers. Wow. Morning,
Will's
people.
having a real Monday.
I'm having a real Monday. Thanks, Terry White, for tuning in. Shout out to Paul once again. And of course, stay caffeinated. I've only had one cup and I'm not fully there. So grab your bag of Well and Good Morning Coffee, our number one sponsor and product of the Good Morning Hospitality Podcast. And so excited for the things that are going to happen with the coffee. We got some fun announcements, but for all of our listeners, we super appreciate you guys. Happy Monday. Like always, like, subscribe, grab the other GMH shows into your queue for the week of podcasts to listen to. And like always, we'll see you guys on the next one next Monday.
Want to stop juggling spreadsheets, calendars, and a dozen apps just to run your rentals? Lodgify makes it easy. It's an all-in-one toolkit for hosts. Build a direct booking website, automate guest messaging, and keep all your channels in sync. Running your rental business your way has never been simpler. And for Good Morning Hospitality listeners, you can get 20% off any yearly plan with code GMH20. Just check the link in the show notes to get started today.